Hi, I'm Chef Pat Walston, and I'd like to demonstrate how to make Hollandaise today. If you've never made any kind of sauces before, you need to know that there are 5 mother sauces. They include bechamel, velouté, tomato sauce, espagnole, and Hollandaise. I find that most first-year culinary students have the most trouble with Hollandaise. And I think it's because it's a little different than the other sauces in the technique. It's a little bit harder. Instead of it being roux-based, it's emulsion-based. But we have 3 simple ingredients in Hollandaise. You have eggs, specifically egg yolks. You have butter that's been melted, and you can use either regular butter that's melted, or you can clarify the butter. And all that is it's been heated up, and then you let it sit for a few minutes, and all the milk solids will go to the bottom, and you just pour off that nice liquid, and you leave all that murky white stuff on the bottom. And the third thing we put in it is lemons. So we're going to come over to the stove in just a minute, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do it. And today we're going to make only a ½ cup of Hollandaise sauce. All we're going to need is just a small little saucepan, and we're going to put this on top. So now we're going to make our Hollandaise. I've started with 2 egg yolks. If you don't know, when you separate eggs, you should always separate them when they're cold. That way they come apart easier. I've got them in my bowl here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start whisking. And you'll notice that the longer I whisk, the lighter in color they become. They're a nice pretty yellow. I'm only going to put part of it in at first though. And you need to take the seeds out first. So what I do is I take my knife after I cut my lemon, and I just sort of scrape the seeds out. So I'm going to put just a little bit of lemon juice in here. And now I'm going to go back to whisking. And what you're looking for, like I said, it'll get a little bit lighter in color, and the volume of it will increase. It'll look like there's almost twice as much as there was when we started. So I'm going to whisk it for about a minute or so. And yes, your arm will get tired. If your arm gets tired, just stop for a minute, start again. But the good thing is you'll have really nice looking arms. So you can see it's changing a little bit, the color of it, and it's starting to look a little bit thicker. I'm still whisking, and it looks like the volume has gotten bigger, and what that is we're incorporating air into it, and that's what makes the volume get bigger. So now, if you'll look over here to my stove, I have got some boiling water, and see, like I told you earlier, this is going to fit on top, but that water does not touch the bottom of my bowl. So it's boiling. I am going to cut it down so it's just a simmer. I also like to get my hot pad, and I usually put that on my left hand. I'm going to put this over the heat. You still want it to just to simmer. That means the bubbles are coming, but it's not a full rolling boil. Now I'm going to set this on top of my water, and the whole time this is there, I am going to whisk it. Now the thing about making Hollandaise is if you keep it on this heat too long, it's going to cook the eggs. You don't want the eggs to cook. You just want the temperature to come up a bit, but not enough that it coagulates all the proteins. And if it starts getting a little hot, you can take it off, regulate it that way, put it back on. And you always want to scrape what's on the side, because naturally if it goes up on the side, that part's going to cook a little bit faster. So you want to continue to whisk it until you can take that whisk and shoot it through that egg and it doesn't come back. We're almost there right now. So I'm going to whisk it just a little bit more. Now I'm going to take it off that heat. And it's gotten thicker, you can see, but it hasn't cooked those eggs yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to incorporate our clarified butter. So I'm going to cut my stove off. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to show you a little trick. I have my sanitation bucket down here with my rag in it. I'm going to take it, I'm going to twist it like this. I'm going to set it right here, and this will keep my bowl steady. That bowl's a little bit hot, but now it won't move. But the trick is you start with just a few drops at a time, and you whisk, 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 whisk. If you whisk too fast, your hollandaise will break and it won't be an emulsion like we talked about a while ago. So it's getting thicker and thicker, and now I'm going to add, and see how my bowl is staying steady? I'm going to add a little bit more butter, a little bit at a time. I always hold my breath when I'm doing this because it'll break. We can fix it if it breaks, but I'd rather get it right the first time. So look how beautiful this is. It's rich, creamy, smooth. My eggs didn't cook, so I don't have any little pieces of egg in there. I've got about a half cup now. So what there is left to do now is to put a little bit of seasoning in. So you can add a little bit more lemon juice if you'd like. I'm going to taste it with a tasting spoon. Don't use your finger. I think it needs a little bit more. So I'm just going to put, again, I'm going to whisk. I'm just going to put a little bit more lemon juice in there. I'm going to put a little pinch of salt in here. And I like to make it a little bit interesting, just a pinch of cayenne. Now, you might be thinking, I don't like hot food, but we're not putting enough cayenne in here to make this hot. Like I said, we're just putting enough in there to make the flavor a little bit interesting, because butter is good, egg is good, but you need a little bit more flavor to it to give it a little bit of punch. So there's our hollandaise. I'm going to take my tasting spoon, see how it coats the back of my spoon. A little taste. It is delicious. So now, I'm going to take this, pour it in my little ramekin here, and we are ready for some Eggs Benedict or anything else you'd like to put this on. See? Quick, simple. That's all there is to it. Thank you.